whoever did this, I can kill it.
Prey was a low-budget, standout reboot for the Predator franchise, making it the 5th installment and 7th in the overall Predator universe. Dan Trachtenberg directed the film, and Patrick Aison wrote it. The movie stars Dakota Beavers, Amber Midthunder, and Dane Diliegro, among others. This movie is essentially a prequel occurring long before the other movies in the franchise. It's set in the northern Great Plains in 1719 and follows the story of a young woman, Naru, who belongs to the Comanche tribe and is working hard to be taken seriously as a hunter until she figures she has to protect her people from an evil, dangerous alien who hunts humans for the thrill of it. Additionally, her people also need to be protected from the French fur traders who are hell-bent on taking away their tribe's livelihood by hunting down their buffalo. The movie was produced by 20th Century Studios and was released on Hulu as an original film that got the most-watched movie status within 3 days of release. It has an impressive 94% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, making us wonder exactly why this movie was such a hit. Was it because it was well edited? If yes, then it's important to see all the deleted scenes in the movie. No? That's why we're going to be showing you exactly that today. Before we get into it though, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The list! The following list not only covers deleted scenes, but also shots that were left out of early teasers and TV spots. The actors mentioned some deleted scenes during their promotional interviews. On the Prey Blu-ray, there were 3 deleted scenes, and that's it. However, both the director's edit and the initial edit stood at 90 minutes. Alternative opening! The first scene to be deleted was the scene where Naru, along with her brother Tabe, was trying to kill the hawk. This was supposed to be the alternate opening of the movie since the scene was shot in Comanche and looked authentic as it changed to English when Naru reached the teepee. It was a 2-minute-long opening that introduced Naru to Tabe and the war chief's son, Wasape. An earlier version of the opening focused more on the broader tribe dynamics rather than Naru's internal journey, and was cut in favor of keeping the narrative tightly centered on her character development and relationship with her brother. The alternate opening, termed the Hawk Hunt opening, apart from being featured entirely in Comanche language, began with a complex CG shot of an ant being eaten by a fish before a hawk swooped in, an idea later repurposed into the snake and mouse visuals in the final film. Trachtenberg also originally considered shooting the whole movie in Comanche, the later switched to English, but it proved too heavy-handed and impractical. The stakes? Language accuracy versus narrative clarity. Shots from the trailer! When the full-length trailer came out, there were a few shots that showed Naru and her tribe preparing for the battle, which was possibly when the warriors learn about their abducted tribe member who must be rescued. There's another shot in the trailer where Naru is seen walking across a field as the morning sun rises, which must have been right before the hunt at the start of the film. It too was cut. Character-based scenes. Chief Cahetu. Unfortunately, quite a few of Chief Cahetu's scenes were edited out of the film. In an interview with star Julian Black Antelope, who played the chief, there were scenes of the chief on his deathbed, seeking a successor to lead his tribe after his death. This scene was between the chief, his wife Sumu, and his son Wasape. Sumu was played by Stephanie Mathias, and Wasape was played by Stormy Kipp. In one deleted scene, when Chief Cahetu and his wife talk about looking for a new war chief, Naru overhears their conversation. In another scene, when Naru falls from the tree and comes to her senses in the teepee, the scene was originally intended to feature Chief Cahetu instead of her mother. These scenes of Chief Cahetu were trimmed since the makers thought they diluted Naru's visibility and wanted to bring the focus back to her rather than the other characters. In our opinion, this scene highlights the traditional gender norms of the tribe since Chief Cahetu was seen failing and was seeking a successor, maybe in his son, while overlooking Naru, a woman. These scenes, had they been there, would have explored leadership transition and internal tribal dynamics, but they were removed to preserve narrative focus and pacing centered around Naru's journey. Given the end result, it's hard to say they didn't make the right choice. Feral! When actor Dane Diliegro, who plays the feral predator, was interviewed, he mentioned the campfire scene where, after Naru leaves the campfire, the feral predator enters the frame and uses his combi stick to poke at the campfire. Right after, he starts to unload his backpack and he begins to load his weapons, including a bolt gun. He sets up the netball with the clamp and loads the bolt into the gun. The bolt gun scene featured in the early TV spots but was later replaced. The replaced scene was between Feral and the wolf since the makers wanted to show Feral was trying to work his way up the food chain. In another scene known as the treetop chase, after Big Beard gets killed, the makers were going to insert a scene right before the final mud pit scene. While it was scripted, it was never shot. The scene was a thrilling one, featuring Naru sprinting frantically through the trees while the feral predator was in hot pursuit, leaping over treetops. The intention was to shoot actor Dane Diliegro running on tree branches that would lead to a subsequent combat between Feral and Naru, said director Trachtenberg. But when Prey was released on Blu-ray, the treetop chase was cut down, which, as per the director's commentary, was chopped due to time and budget constraints. Also, as per the director, sequences such as the treetop chase felt too stylized. Trachtenberg was worried it might disrupt the film's aesthetic and landed on the more gritty, visceral approach. One anecdote about the treetop chase scene was that director Dan Trachtenberg originally developed an early treetop chase scene where, as previously mentioned, Naru would pursue and be pursued by the predator in the trees using a clever misdirect with the cut clamp weapon. He envisioned Naru flicking the clamp to take down the predator, which would have been a visually inventive moment. Still, ultimately, it felt too Tarzan-like and too stylized for the film's grounded aesthetic, and the sequence was both costly and logistically tricky. Trachtenberg ultimately removed it to focus resources on other essential scenes. He describes using it as a trick of the trade, using it as a negotiating chip during production discussions. Deleted, reshot, re-edited. When you're trying to get a scene right, previs. Remember the bear scene? A couple of edits were made to check how the bear became aware of Naru's presence. As per the script, due to the blowing wind, the bear smells Naru being somewhere around. When the shoot was done, the crew members didn't think it was logical to shoot the wind angle and therefore orchestrated a falling rock, which made the bear alert. When the film was being edited, they weren't getting the right kind of feel about the scene again, so they reshot it as it was in the script. When the scene was reshot, the sound effect kind of took over the scene. Also, the bear scene was very interesting and tricky, so it was changed many times. The choreography of the scene was changed multiple times. For instance, at first, the bear was with a buck while the predator was also spying on Naru, who was in turn looking for the right moment to hunt the bear. Earlier, the bear was positioned near the side of the river. Later, it had moved farther away to the other end of the river. When Naru slipped on a couple of rocks, as conceived in the scene, the bear became aware of her presence. In another version, they got sorry to bark, which alerted the bear to Naru's presence, so a lot of versions were shot to get the conflict just right, according to editor Angela Catanzaro. Finally, the makers narrowed in on the wind change option, where, with the wind's direction changing, the bear gets a whiff of Naru's scent and goes after her. She immediately gets defensive and is caught off guard. It all looks very natural and bang on, and while it took a couple of reshoots, they did get the scene right, and Angela admitted that initially the crew thought the wind option wouldn't work, but later, nearly 6 months later, they shot it anyways. I guess the first instinct was right there, said Angela Catanzaro. Additionally, behind-the-scenes images from the set revealed that the bear fight involved a practical bear costume and motion capture used primarily as reference material for CGI rather than being fully digital from the start. A summary of the edits and re-edits that made it to the screen would look like this. A close-up shot of the bear eating a deer was completely removed. The bear's motion was reworked, certain movements were tweaked to give it a better sense of weight, and the bear was processed separately for improved compositing. The scene where the bear climbs up and attempts to reach Naru was cut. Instead, in the final version, the dog Sari distracts the bear while Naru repairs her bow. No climbing was involved. The predator versus bear battle was also significantly trimmed. The key differences. The bear no longer charges into Naru. In the theatrical cut, the predator dispatches the bear more swiftly. The predator is revealed when it's covered in the bear's blood. This became a climactic, revealing moment. The bear scene in Prey underwent careful refinement, cutting complexity, refining visual effects, and emphasizing the predator's dramatic introduction. These edits helped maintain narrative momentum while still delivering one of the movie's most visceral and memorable moments. They compressed and simplified the action to ensure pacing and clarity, while still providing the dramatic reveal of the predator. Unnecessary scene that deviated from the narrative, big warrior, little warrior. While this is a cute scene and all heart, showing Naru helping a little girl fix her bow, the makers realized it didn't make any sense. The scene with the little girl was supposed to pay off when Naru breaks her bow while hunting down a bear, emphasizing the importance of keeping a bow clean for it to work properly. As per the makers, this scene didn't make any sense as it was breaking the rhythm of the movie and didn't feel like it added to any of the story beats. The shot, as perceived originally, was supposed to be a quieter, more introspective moment featuring Naru helping a young girl string her bow, a soft elemental scene representing mentorship and community, and visually striking with wind-blown imagery. This scene later became pivotal to understanding Naru's emotional grounding in the story, but unfortunately, it didn't make it to the final cut. If we were to delve deeper, how did the deletion of the above scene reflect in the final film? we miss the opportunity to see the reframing of Naru as a nurturer, not just as a hunter. The final movie emphasizes her struggle for recognition in a warrior culture. The scene balances that by showing her as a guide, someone already strong in spirit and wisdom, qualities that define leadership in her own way. We also lost out on foreshadowing the broken bow moment. When Naru's bow snaps during the bear scene, it's not just bad luck, it ties back to this tender moment and subtly emphasizes the consequences of inexperience or distraction. The above scene also added dimension to the Comanche community. It shows tribal life as more than hunting and survival. There's mentorship, tradition, and support. Why these scenes were cut? This film thrives on its grounded, emotional tone and tight focus on Naru. Extraneous subplots, especially those centered on secondary characters, risk diluting the core narrative. To maintain visual style consistency, sequences such as the treetop chase felt too stylized. Trachtenberg worried it might disrupt the film's aesthetic and landed on the more gritty, visceral approach. Also, there were practical constraints such as the budget, shooting schedule, and logistical time constraints, which led to the decision to cut complex or expensive sequences in favor of what could be executed highly effectively within production limits. Marvelous verdict! Actors, directors, and studio executives are all important, but let's be honest, movies are made by the editors. More than the storytelling, it's always been the business of filmmaking. Therefore, 9 out of 10 times scenes are chopped for budget constraints and seldom for creative reasons. Prey is another product of this business. However, the movie didn't suffer due to the deleted scenes and received its due, earning positive reviews where critics commented on its thrilling narrative without hampering character development. And even if you miss it in the final cut, there's always the Blu-ray, making us believe the deleted scenes could be a marketing gimmick to retain audience for the home video market. What do you think? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.